Yeah, hi, I'm Leo Brady with amovieguy.com, and it's a pleasure to be here with all of you. Thank you so much. Actually, my first question is for Algie. You've been a part of Catherine Bigelow's Detroit and The Hate You Give, and now Judas and the Black Messiah. That is quite a trio of three films that speak to sort of racial injustice.
Yeah.
Have you been able to sort of contemplate what it has meant for you to be a part of all three of those films now?
I've definitely thought about it. I've definitely thought about it in depth only because it hasn't been a conscious decision. It's not like I went in saying that I wanted to play these type of roles. It's just been that's what the doors have been open to, and that's what my heart was longing to at the time, and so I latched onto it. But I feel like me being put in that position is it's not a coincidence. It's for me to have a voice and to speak up on things that are important. I'm not just doing cookie cutter roles. It's just roles that just are here and fly by night. It's roles that actually mean something, that are saying something, and that speak to truth that we're facing. So I think it's definitely a thing that I've thought about in depth. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Mhm.
Great. Am I next? I think because it's
Yeah.
alphabetical order. Okay.
Yep.
So this is sort of a group question. I guess when it comes to sort of a lot of misconceptions when it comes to the Black Panther movement, when I saw this movie, it definitely shed a lot of light on some things. And I was wondering, what type of light did it shed on the movement that perhaps you guys didn't know when you read the script and approached the film?
I think for one, what's up? It's Ashton. I think for one, Fred Hampton in general is a historical figure that wasn't taught to us. You know, he wasn't in history books. The Black Panther Party in history books is kind of taught to be like a hate group towards America almost. So it was interesting to come into this film, you know, and really get to learn what these people were about, who they were for the community, you know, and where they stood in terms of race relations and like social justice, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
And to piggyback on what Ashton just said, like the only reason I know what I do know about the Black Panthers was because of my parents. Because if I left it up to the education system, I wouldn't know anything. Um,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and sort of the the way that they've been portrayed as some type of terrorist group, terrorist organization, like Ashton said,
Right.
couldn't be further from the truth.
Mhm.
But still, because there's so much to learn from them, it's a continually revolving door of an education process because they've done so much, and their legacy continues to do so much. So,
Yeah.
no matter what I read leading up to the script, what I was taught by my parents, there's still stuff that I'm learning every day, which is a beautiful thing because there's such an important movement and such an important group of women and men that changed the world and paved the way for us to be able to be here and tell this kind of story, which is so important.
I could
That
probably
is
also,
very true.
but I don't think I understood, or it didn't really sink into me how young so many of these members were. Of course, I was
Yeah.
aware that a lot of these people who chose to join this organization and stand up in this way, that they were around my age, but I don't think it was until we were actually there doing this and speaking with Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. that it really sunk into me, and that I really understood that on a sort of visceral level, because I think that's a very important thing to remember, and it speaks a lot to the power that we hold as a as a generation.
This is Ryan Chigello from cinemajaw.com, and turning the focus onto the production of the movie, working with Shaka King as director, known for having some good comedy chops as well, but this is a very serious and dramatic role. What was the tone like on set and the focus and preparation he asked for out of you guys?
Shaka was no games. Shaka was no games, but he was also very down to earth. Like Shaka is our brother. That's our ringleader. You know what I'm saying? He held us all together, but he also was no games. He was there to get the job done. And so having him with this was my first time working with Shaka. So being able to see him the way he maneuvered with every one of us, he knew how to talk to us differently. He knew how to get different things out of each one of us. And that's a master at your craft, to know how to pull different things out of each of your actors and not just say one thing and expect everyone to get it. It's like a one-on-one, and I appreciate that.
So it's also
Yeah.
oh, go ahead. I was gonna say it's just
No, go ahead.
well, it's such a misconception, I believe, that when this thing about like because you direct comedy, how can you transition to drama? And it's the same way. It's the same reason why there's been performances like for me, like Eddie Murphy and Bowfinger. He should have won an Oscar for that, you know. But they say, oh, it's easy to be funny and it's hard to cry or whatever the case may be.
Right.
So Shaka's transition. I mean, first of all, he's a Black man in America, so he feels the pain. That is associated with this. And because he's such a passionate artist, there's nothing that he would step his foot into, comedy or drama, that if he wasn't going to go all the way with it. And like Algie said, he's such an incredible leader and commander of the ship, and he's a collaborator. You know, a lot of directors don't really let you have your say, but he's somebody who is so in tune with what his actors need, what they feel, and also to the story and the source material. And he paints such a delicate picture, but it's so beautiful, and he's such a joy to work with.
This is Linda and Al Lerner from moviesandshakers.com. Again, thank you for joining us. Daryl, Bobby Rush was barely able to vote when these events took place, and you play him very much as the peacemaker, as a mediator, almost as a politician. The fact that he became a congressman affect how you approach that role?
I wouldn't say it was so much about him becoming a congressman that affected how I played the role. I think it was just he was. I mean, what I had was I read every single day. I watched videos of him every single day, and what he presents is he's such a measured human being, and to have survived what he survived, to be tasked with what he was tasked with, and to continue his fight. It's just like the only way to really try to bring justice to him is to just try to find the balance of this measure, while also trying to find, like, this love that you have to have for the people, for this party, for the organization, and just unity as a whole. He's just, every time you see him speak, there's just this measuredness to him, and that I really wanted to sort of bring the essence of that to who he was with the party, and standing next to Fred and the rest of the Panthers, because it's tough, playing these people, you're playing with people's lives, and to not take that seriously. It's just something that's never going to happen, and it's just such a joy in trying to honor the legacy of Mr. Rush and the rest of the Panthers. It's not something I take lightly, that none of us take lightly. So it's a bit of a weight, but somebody as eloquent as him, who's done so much, you better do your best to get it right.
I think it's Andrea's turn.
Once again, I want to reiterate my thanks. And my question is, many of your characters are shot. Some of them are killed. Pretty much all of them are arrested and experience some form of police brutality throughout the film. And I gather that was very emotional. How did you deal with your feelings after shooting those kinds of scenes?
If I'm being completely honest, it's kind of our reality, and so it wasn't a thing to where we had to. Don't get me wrong, it was very emotional, but it wasn't a thing where I had to train myself or had to take myself to a procedure to understand what that's like, because we deal with that as a people. And so what we were just doing was just being vessels for what we already go through, and vessels to show the world certain things. But it was definitely tough. I mean, you see my character Jake Winters, I'm not going to give away because I don't know when this interview comes out, so I'm not going to give away anything. But we see my character Jake Winters go through a very dark process. We also see Ashton's character Jimmy Palmer go through a very dark process that's really going on. So that was very emotional to have to take myself through that scene and do that, but it wasn't a hard thing, to be honest.
Yeah, and to back off of what Algie said, unfortunately, this is our reality here in America, and it has been. And to be able to, well, to have to jump into that, and fully feel these emotions, the anger, the sadness, it really makes you tap into yourself and makes you tap into what's going on around us. And I think that speaks to how relevant this movie is, actually.
I agree.
I think you might be muted.
Yeah, all right.
Am I there? Am I there?
There you are.
There we go.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, there you are.
Sorry about that. Piggybacking on what Ashton and LG said about this being your reality, within the same movie that has these incredibly dark moments, you've got those uplifting moments where the Black Panthers were able to create the Rainbow Coalition. Can you see our society moving more towards that sort of unity? And if so, how?
I really want to let Daryl and Dominique speak on this,
Yeah, Daryl, I think Daryl should.
but I definitely go ahead. I want Daryl to speak on this one though.
Go ahead, Dominique. You guys, I know you're about to say.
I think I'm also, for sure, Daryl, I know he's gonna have some things to say, but I think I'll add also that this was the primary motive or incentive behind the Black Panther Party and their work. They were primarily focused on bettering the community, on bettering the people. And I think I'm so glad that that translates and that's received, because that was it. I think we said in the very beginning of this that there were a lot of efforts made to sort of distort the presentation of their legacy. But that is the truth, is that they were looking to feed the children in their community. They were looking to educate people on certain health conditions that may have affected them greater than other people in society at the time. I think that work is equally as important, if not more so, than the lives that were lost. It's equally as important as honoring that as well. It's a part of it. I mean, and in terms of can we be better today, I think that there are still people trying their very best and organizations working as hard as they can to rally people and to get those that need to see and those that need to learn and those that need to continue to adjust their thinking, perhaps, to see that we won't stop doing this and that this will continue to be where our efforts are, because we recognize that that is the goal. And I think that all of the action that we see is still very much focused on that.
Yeah, and to piggyback on what Dom just said, I think that question is, I think, posed to a lot of Black women and men every day. And I think that's a question that needs to be asked. You need to ask white people that question, because we've been fighting for equality and unity for forever. And we've seen very little change. So, I think that this is the type of question that we get asked so often. And our fight is never seen as such. Like we'll go on a red carpet and they'll ask us this question, and then they'll have insert famous white actor who comes up next, and they'll ask him what he's wearing, how does it feel to be here, and what was his what did he eat for lunch today. It's like, why don't you ask us what we ate for lunch today, how it feels for us to be here, what we're wearing, and then ask that white actor, does he think that there's going to be justice and equality in a world that has so shown us that that's not a real thing for Black and brown people in this country.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much. These were such great questions.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Thanks so
Thanks
much.
so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Thank you
very
everybody.
much.
Congratulations on the movie.
Yeah,
Loved it.
It's
congrats.
amazing. It's amazing.
Thank you
Yep.
so much.
So good.
Thank you.